Tonight, a year of COVID. It's no secret the service industry got hit especially hard. The state lost 1,000 restaurants every month during the pandemic. That's according to the Texas Restaurant Association. Despite that, new restaurants have popped up across Southeast Texas. Their owners taking a chance in the midst of a pandemic.
And now the restaurants, new and old, are counting on your support during this restaurant week. 12 News reporter Amelia White has the story for us all new at 10.
Jordan, I spoke with two restaurant owners who say opening their business during a global pandemic wasn't an easy process, but you'll never know the outcome until you take the risk.
Can I get a banana pudding?
You know, when you start a business, no one's really trying to take you seriously.
And opening a business during a global pandemic adds to the pressure. Versace's Cake and Dessert Lab owner, Kat, decides to go for it back in November of 2020.
How are you opening a business when it's a crisis? But, you know, sometimes I tell them, sometimes you find gold in the trash. You know, you find something good out of nothing. And I took advantage of it.
And she's not alone. Assistant manager Christopher Myers at Walk-Ons in Port Arthur also took advantage of the opportunity. They opened in January, well aware of the limitations brought on by the pandemic.
So a normal restaurant opening, you don't think about things like the proper, disinfecting chemicals for a certain type of virus, and you don't really think about what you really need to truly social distance your tables. When you go into an opening, you just think, okay, we're going to open, we're going to get a bunch of customers in here, we're going to take care of them.
Getting customers in was one of the biggest hurdles.
And you can tell somebody that they're going to be safe all they want, but until you prove that in an action, they're not going to believe you. So we were very hesitant on opening during the pandemic because of the fact that so many businesses shut down or couldn't open at all.
But events like Restaurant Week remind Kat and Myers why it was a risk worth taking.
Then at the end of the day, this restaurant week is actually a boost for everyone, for all of us small business owners to help out.
As hard as it's been, she says people make it all worthwhile.
That's what keeps you going. Your community grows and it becomes your family, and Beaumont now is home for me.
So many Southeast Texas eateries are participating in Restaurant Week, and their special includes dine-in or to-go. So head on over to our mobile app, and we'll link you to their website. Reporting in Beaumont, Amelia White, 12 News.
Those desserts look so good even at 10 o'clock at night. Thank you, Amelia. By this time next week, the state's mask mandate will be over, and businesses will be able to operate at 100%. Sure, it's too late for Mardi Gras and the Heritage Festival, but Southeast Texas has a crowded calendar filled with spring events, including Riverfest in Port Neches and the YMBL South Texas State Fair. Organizers tell us they're still working out the health and safety protocols. One doctor tells us he hopes that you will keep following COVID safety guidelines.
It's still the best advice, in my opinion, is to simply wear a face covering, even though you go out to these events.
Dr. Levine says even if you've been vaccinated, you should still mask up. Now, the Port Neches Chamber is asking for patience planning Riverfest. They say it typically takes 6 to 8 months to coordinate, so they're still working out details. And the YMBL State Fair has been pushed back to May, giving organizers time to work out their safety strategy.
New information tonight, Lamar University and Lamar State College Port Arthur say they'll require masks for students and staff. Both schools say they'll follow the TEA guidelines by continuing social distancing, wearing masks, and sanitizing. Administrators at both Lamar campuses say the safety of students, faculty, and staff is the highest priority. Now, the UIL also released new guidelines this afternoon. They're allowing school boards to make the decision on mask requirements for athletes and spectators. The UIL also says schools may individually determine the number of people who attend these events. These updates are consistent with guidance from the TEA.
New at 10, we're getting an updated look at how the mass vaccination hubs in Southeast Texas are keeping up. Nearly 37,000 doses have been administered, with nearly 18,000 of them coming from Jefferson County. A reminder that the sites in Hardin County and Port Arthur have now opened up appointments to anybody, and the others may follow suit. Across the state, as you can see, 7.6 million doses have been administered, and 2.1 million Texans are fully vaccinated. To help these efforts, 1 million more vaccine doses will arrive in Texas next week. That's a word from the Texas Department of State Health Services. The doses will be split among 1,600 providers. The state saying the shipment is a 220,000 shot increase from previous weeks, due in part to the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Folks, it's unclear how many of the J&J vaccines will arrive next week.
More information tonight about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Louisiana decided to use nearly half of its first shipment of the single-dose shots at large walk-up and drive-through immunization events. These will be happening at convention centers, sports stadiums, and other community sites. You remember a year ago, Louisiana was one of the early COVID hotspots.
By the numbers, Jefferson County hospitals report a rather significant drop in COVID patients in the past 24 hours. We went from 70 COVID patients in general beds down to 59 and from 39 to 38 in the ICU. So you can see we're running below average by most accounts here. So this graph really puts that in perspective. We've tracked the COVID hospitalization patient percentage, 15%. The orange line going across, that's the state benchmark. And you can see we are still going down. So that is some good news for the region. Locally, 74 new cases on Thursday. As you can see, they're scattered around 21 in Jefferson County, 25 coming out of Chambers County. Finally, here's what our moving average of new cases looks like. We'd like to see this downward trend, but it's important to note some of this may be because testing in Texas has really dropped off. Testing is down 28% since January.
Now take a look at this, Southeast Texas. You will want to grab a rain jacket or an umbrella before leaving the house tomorrow because we're going to catch a few showers. Chief Meteorologist Patrick Vaughn is tracking the front for us tonight.
And after a gorgeous day across Southeast Texas, we'll start to see a better chance of rain, I think mainly during the mid-afternoon hours. Travis Smith up in Woodville sent us this picture of the lake over at Ivanhoe. Otherwise, a lot of clouds trying to move in. These are high-level clouds, and temperatures are into the low to mid-50s. No rain just as of yet, but we think that tomorrow afternoon could be a rather wet afternoon. By 6 a.m., we're down to 50 and still dry here in Beaumont, 64, and I think still the showers will be holding off here in Beaumont at 10 a.m. as the clouds really thicken up. And as you saw on Futurecast, a couple showers in the forecast tomorrow, about a 30, 40, maybe 50% coverage as we see a front finally push through the area coming up by tomorrow evening. More on your Storm Tracker forecast just ahead.
New tonight, after public outrage over a huge severance package, former ERCOT CEO Bill Magnus says he will not accept the money. Magnus grew up in Orange. This afternoon, our sister station in Dallas obtained his contract. It showed that he was entitled to 1 year's salary, which came out to more than $800,000. Magnus lost his job earlier this week on the same day that Congress launched that investigation into the power outages that left Texans freezing in the cold. Again tonight, Magnus says he will not take the money.
It's been nearly 3 weeks since that winter storm blew through Texas, leaving millions without power and water. The storm took the lives of dozens of our neighbors, and now tonight, it appears a Jefferson County man was among them. Jefferson County Justice of the Peace Brad Burnett says 65-year-old Daniel Phillips was found dead in his LaBelle mobile home February 21st. A preliminary autopsy ruled his death as accidental due to hypothermia. Temperatures at the time were below freezing. Judge Burnett tells 12 News that in his 20 years of doing this, this is the first death he's seen in the area that's been ruled as hypothermia due to exposure.
In case you missed it, a Dallas police officer is on administrative leave tonight charged with capital murder. He's accused of 2 2017 killings. Court documents show that Officer Brian Reiser worked with a hitman to kidnap and kill 2 people and then dump their bodies in the Trinity River. Reiser continued his work as a Dallas cop while his colleagues investigated. The Dallas police chief said Reiser only became an official suspect today. He was then promptly suspended and arrested.
Talk about a scary ride to school for kids. There were 2 major school bus accidents this morning across the state, leaving dozens hurt. The first was in Cy-Fair near Houston. Deputies say the bus was turning left on a neighborhood street when it crashed into a pickup truck, causing it to flip onto its side. According to the Cy-Fair Fire Department, EMS evaluated 11 patients in total. Everyone's going to be okay. And over in Lubbock, nearly a dozen students were hurt after police say a bus driver failed to yield the right-of-way to a semi. That bus driver and a student are in serious condition.
To Los Angeles now, where sheriff's deputies are narrowing their investigation into the critical seconds before Tiger Woods' crash. They are specifically trying to figure out what caused Woods' SUV to cross the median, 2 lanes of traffic, and then end up here, off the side of the road. The weather that day was sunny. Experts say investigators will use the SUV's black box to look into driver distraction as a possible cause.
If you're shopping on a budget, you'll only have to make one stop for big deals. Dollar Tree and Family Dollar are introducing a combo store. The concept will combine Family Dollar's everyday essentials with Dollar Tree's seasonal items in one store. New locations will serve small towns with populations between 3,000 and 4,000 folks.